So I'm going to just do an overview of some of the first part of vegetation creation data that we've been collecting with our Swan research. And then also, if you guys want to tweet or anything else, go ahead, feel free to do it because we're also broadcasting this live right now. So of course I'm not going to be afraid if you do any sort of social media. So just to go over some background with mute swans, a lot of people don't necessarily know that they're invasive. They're originally from Europe. They were brought over in the late 1800s, early 1900s as ornamental pets and birds, just because they are very beautiful charismatic species. And of course, what happens a lot of times when humans bring animals into new areas is that they tend to escape, and then they start breeding, and they have established a new population, and that's what happened in North America. So specifically in Michigan, the first wild pair was spotted up in Charlevoix County in the northern Lower Peninsula in about 1919. It's been estimated in the Great Lakes area that mute swans have an annual growth rate of 10 to 18% a year, which is quite substantial. And as a couple of years ago, Michigan had the largest population of mute swans anywhere in the U.S. at over 15,000 individuals. Since that time, that population has dropped a little bit because the Michigan Department of Natural Resources has jumped up their control efforts. So they're doing things like nest destruction, egg destruction, and also starting to cull some of the birds. And so it's dropped by about a third and seems to be hovering about there for like the last couple of years. So a little bit more background about mute swans. They're one of the largest flying birds in the world. It's also been shown that they can be very aggressive. Whether or not it's, they're just naturally aggressive or if they're just defending their nest, that's up for debate. But I can tell you they will harass, injure, and kill other wildlife. They will also harass, injure, and kill human beings. They like to dive on drag students on their kayaks, which I can attest to personally. They're also capable of breaking bones and grown people, and they've also been documented to have drowned people. There was an incident out in Illinois a couple years back. But the biggest issue that we are looking at is their huge stomachs. They like to eat a lot, and their preferred food is submerged aquatic vegetation, SAB or SAB if you prefer. So a previous study was done about 10 years ago in the Chesapeake Bay area by Tattoo et al., and they showed that mute swans have negative impacts on the percent cover, the shoot density, and the height of SAB, and that large non-breeding flocks of mute swans are able to go through and just clear out a wetland entirely of its SAB. So why do we care about SAB? Most of us think of it as just weeds that get caught up around the tops of our boats, disturbing us while we're out fishing or other things like that. We don't like it. Well, SAB is very important to wetlands and lakes. So it helps control things like dissolved oxygen. If you want higher amounts of dissolved oxygen, it helps having those plants in the water. It also reduces the wave and solar intensity of the physical characteristics out there. So think of SAB as just a forest underwater. So just like a forest would help protect the deer, same thing with SAB for the small fish and inverts that call that home. So, and this helps increase their survival rates as the SAB is abundant. Also allows them to potentially grow larger. If they're not having to spend as much energy surviving, then they're more likely to get bigger. And as someone who fishes, I like having bigger fish when I catch them. So it looks cooler when you don't have to hold them all the way out in front of your face. So, some additional issues with mute swans in Michigan. It's thought that they don't have a traditional migration, that they stay in Michigan all year long. This is yet to be completely proven. It's thought that they might migrate out laterally, so when the inland lakes freeze over, that they might go to the coastal wetland lakes. And so this can actually prolong that impact in those coastal wetland areas. So when they're not necessarily feeding on the vegetative part of the SAB, because that will senesce during the fall, they'll root up the tubers and eat those, and so that still is destroying that SAB habitat. So we initially did a survey of 21 drowned river mouth lakes along the eastern shorelines of Michigan, from Kalamazoo Lake in the south up to Becky Lake in the north. And just a little side note, while we were out doing these surveys and while we were out doing all of our sampling, we did not want to see a trumpeter swan, which is currently threatened in Michigan, so that was kind of disappointing that we never saw one. So we did simple population counts of the swans in these lakes, and we found a range anywhere from 0 to 200, with Muskegon, White, and Hamlin Lake showing those big non-breeding large flocks, or those are the ones that can go through and just completely wipe out wetland vegetation. So we picked 4 lakes out of those initial lakes that we did a survey, because we weren't going to go and dig up SAB from each one of those lakes, because there's just no way my shoulders would ever be able to take that. But we picked it based on swan population, so we wanted 2 lakes that had really high swan population, 2 lakes that had really low swan population, or no swan population at all. And then we also based it on location too, so we wanted them to be geographically close together rather than having, something like really wide apart. So our 2 high density swan lakes was Muskegon Lake and White Lake, and then our low density was Motor Lake. And so we drew a transect through each SAV bed and every one of the lakes, and we sampled at 3 different depth classes, and these corresponded with the tattoo et al. Paper. So for low depth, it was 0.5 to 0.74 meters, medium was 0.75 to 0.99, and then deep was anything a meter above. This kind of corresponds with mute swan feeding behavior. They just tip up to feed, and about the deepest they can reach is about a meter. So at each one of those points, we released a throw trap because we wanted to be able to catch everything in that one particular water column. So it was about a meter cube, a little bit more tall just because of the water column. But we measured the percent cover and the height within that water column. Then we would break out all the SAV, which, as I was saying earlier, is a very good workout on the shoulders and arms for like tank top season. I highly recommend it. We froze it and then we take it back to the lab, unfreeze it, identify it, and we get the dry weight from it. We would also seine the trap, so we pull out the fish, identify them, and just measure them just simply only for length. And we've also collected AVAC data at each SAV bed. So just to kind of go into some of the results, so with the vegetation, with the percent cover, we really didn't see a difference between our non-mute swan lakes and our mute swan lakes. The plant height, we did. And the dry weight, we also were seeing a difference. So where there were swan, there was lower SAV, like the height wasn't as tall, and then the dry weight, there also wasn't as much vegetation there. And we noticed something interesting with Muskegon Lake from year 1 to year 2 is that there was an increase in mute swan. So we're like, oh, are we seeing a drop in SAV? And we did see a drop in the percent cover. We also saw a drop in the plant height. We didn't with the dry weight, but as you can see with the 2012 data, there's a lot of variability in there, and we think that's maybe what caused the problem with that. We also collected fish data, so we collected several different species that we saw out there. Our most numerous was bluegill, and so we ran a count variability go on to just see how the different sites, so those sampling locations, how they compared, like were we seeing the similar numbers of fish amongst those sites. So with our sites that did not have mute swans, they were all fairly similar, but the sites that did have mute swans, they were really different. So that means that some of those sites had like no fish, where some of them had a lot. And I'll talk about why later. And then we also wanted to see with our most numerous fish, which was the bluegill, were we seeing differences in those sizes, and we really weren't seeing differences. I'll talk about it a little bit more too. So we also looked at the results of the abiotics, and the only differences that we saw were with the dissolved oxygen. So we were seeing more dissolved oxygen where those plants were, which makes sense. And then the turbidity, we also saw a difference, but it was the opposite of what we thought. So it was actually more turbid where there was plants. There is some literature to back that up, but most of the literature says it should be more turbid where there's just no plants at all, because there's nothing to help it settle. So it's up for debate. I'm going to look more at that, see why. And then we also just wanted to map out all of our abiotic variables to see, like, are they kind of separating by that mute swan variable? They really aren't at all. And then we also looked at it by lake. Some of the lakes are separating out from each other, but really there's not a lot of separation there. So just to kind of go over everything, with the percent cover, we're really not seeing an impact from the mute swan. And that could be just because their populations aren't high enough where they're really clearing out that vegetation where it's leaving those big, huge empty spots on the floor of these lakes. The plant height, we were seeing an impact. And so that's just showing, yes, they are feeding on it. There's, just think of like your cow going along, it's mowing down that grass that's in here. And then of course, if we're seeing the plants on our side, it would make sense that it's not as much dry weight there either. So, and then to kind of go back over Muskegon Lake real quick, we did see a difference in the percent cover for year 1 to year 2. Same thing with plant height, but not the dry weight. But like I said, there was that large variability with that dry weight. And so we're thinking this might suggest that when you have more mute swans, that we are truly seeing that difference in that SAV. With the fish, So I think what's happening where like you have that large variability where there are mute swans, you're having some of those spots where the swans are just coming through and just completely chowing down. So of course there's going to be no fish there because they have no habitat to live in. So we're talking about fish gazes. So, and then the other difference thing too with the sizes, I think because of the way we're sampling, we weren't purely just sampling for fish. We were just kind of like, hey, we're out here, let's see what we can collect over here. I think if you get an actual fisheries biologist to go out there and look at it, you might see a difference in size. You might not, but I think we need someone to like further study that and really hit it hard just for fish. And then another thing too is we were seeing brown goby in all of our sites, which makes sense because each one of these lakes are directly connected to Lake Michigan, and Lake Michigan has brown goby. So. And then with antibiotics, like I said, there wasn't a lot of difference except for with that dissolved oxygen and turbidity. And that makes sense because these lakes have a lot of people living around them. So it's maybe so much that, you know, that anthropogenic impact is like overriding maybe the impact that the mute swans are having on the abiotics of the lake. So some things that we can look at further is maybe doing direct comparisons of the substrate. So we need to compare rocky sites to rocky sites, sandy sites to sandy sites, instead of grouping everything together. We also need to look at and see if the SAB is, you know, are we seeing maybe more invasive species of SAB moving in where mute swans have fed, you know, are those invasive species coming in because mute swans were there? And we also need to look a little bit more at the density dependence. We looked at the density dependence of the entire lake, not necessarily SAB bed itself, because some of these SAB beds are quite large. So where we're seeing the large flocks that are on these large SAB beds, so we need to probably look at the area, you know, and compare that exactly, you know, how many swans are on that one particular area and see if we're seeing differences with that. So with that, here are a few of the references, my mini pinkies that I have for everyone at CAMU and beyond. And with that, I'll take any questions you have.
Did you have rusty crayfish in any of your lakes?
I did not look for them, and we never pulled any up, but there are out there. There are some folks that maybe they're doing some rusty crayfish work and would be better able to answer exactly where along Lake Michigan they found them, but I would not be surprised if they were in all four of those lakes. They are very delicious, by the way. I have eaten them. So,
well, I was just thinking they eat a lot of submerged, so they rip off the vegetation.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Do you know if there are any ideas on like a more drastic measure to try to combat the mute swan population? Like, is there like a hunt? Maybe
there has been talk about that. Some of the issues that could be caused by that, the heavy metals that can be found in mute swan could be an issue. The other issue too is they're afraid if they allow people to hunt, there's going to be accidental takes of the trumpeter swans, and even people aren't going to be able to tell the difference. My personal belief is you can't tell it's an orange beak versus black beak. You probably shouldn't be hunting anyway. And the third thing too is they're afraid if they open up a season on them, people are going to want to keep them around to be able to continue to hunt. I think if you kind of treat it like they're doing the python down in Florida, like, hey, this is one big one-time special thing, maybe you can get away with that, because it'd be great if you could bring in money for research through that hunt, and then also you're getting that public outreach to really get people to know about the invasive swans, because a lot of people don't know that we have different swans in Michigan. They just see big white birds, they don't see the differences between our birds.
Thank you. Well, I think we need to move on, but
you can talk to me afterwards. Sure. So.
One more thank you for Nicole.